Dale McCamish, Senior Minister at Wilmington Church of Christ, and we're doing interviews with our elders and staff just so that we can stay engaged with the church and let everybody kind of get to know us a little bit better. This is Tom Kreps, our new Upward Director. And Tom, thanks for being available to do this interview today. You're not originally from Wilmington, and now you live in Washington Courthouse, but you're not originally from Ohio. Where are you originally from?
Toledo, which is in Ohio.
Oh, that's right. You know, I keep remembering that you're a Michigan fan, and it's that grossness is throwing me off so much because nobody likes Michigan. And I keep thinking, why would anybody be a Michigan fan that wasn't actually from Michigan? And so then you have to remind me you're from Toledo.
Let me share with you why. My dad's a graduate of Michigan.
Okay.
Got his master's in engineering, went to University of Toledo first, and then went to Michigan. And my mom was born in Adrian, Michigan. And when she was 9, they moved to Toledo. So
family ties.
Yes, we do have family ties.
Family ties is a reasonable explanation to, well, almost reasonable. So born and raised in Toledo.
Yes.
And how did you make your way south? So tell us a little bit about your family, too, while you're doing it.
Well, I'm the youngest of 3 kids. I went to Bowling Green. Actually, I went to Ohio State my first 2 semesters.
The Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Okay.
And I was studying engineering and just was like, it's too much for me. So I transferred to Bowling Green and met my wife at Bowling Green. I didn't even know I was married. No, I'm just kidding. We got married. We graduated in 93, got married a few months later. And Chris and I have 1 daughter, Olivia. She just graduated University of Cincinnati.
I noticed the shirt.
The UC Go Bearcats, have to say that. She just graduated in May. So we went to a lot of UC basketball games and football games and all that. Got very involved. Just enjoyed it. About myself, as far as family.
Well, you mentioned your wife and your daughter. Yeah. You also, you're an Upward Director for us, but you also do a couple other things. So tell us a little bit about some of your other career choices that you're currently doing right now.
Well, one of them is I study karate, martial arts with you.
Yeah.
And I have my own school in Washington Courthouse. An accomplishment for me was getting my 3rd degree black belt. And that goes with my Eagle Scout rank in the Boy Scouts.
Oh, that's
I
big.
grew up doing that, yeah. And while in the Scouts, I actually swam a mile and also swam the polar bear mile, where you got up at 4:30 in the morning and they threw ice cubes into the swimming pool and then you swam the mile to make it cold, in the middle of the summer. But so those are, big accomplishments for me in a mild way. Probably the biggest was I accepted Jesus as my Savior in 2000.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you came to know Christ. I love your story. You got connected with a church, and then you fell in love with Jesus. So tell me how that happened.
At the time, I was a sales rep for Nabisco Cookies, and we had started going to a church in the courthouse. And growing up, Mom and Dad took us to church. I knew there was a God, just never had him in here. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, on my route one time, I was just having one of those days, and I just shouted out, God, please take me. I need help. I need guidance, etc. And while I was doing that, during that time frame, I should say, I was helping with the church Christmas drama, preparing for that. It started like in September, October, whatever. And I was saved in November, like 3 weeks prior to our first performance. And I talked with some people from the church and asked questions, and like I remember distinctly asking, how do you know when prayers are answered? Yeah. It's one thing to say, God, I pray I become well from this sickness, or whatever, and then you're, well, that's an obvious answered prayer kind of thing. But I was struggling with just the unknown type questions and answers. And so talking with the one lady at church, then she's like, hold on. And she got 5 other people. And I shared my story with them. And then the last dress rehearsal, I believe, the music director said, I want to share this. How cool is it? The purpose of our drama and presentation is to share the gospel and share within a presentation, production and all that, to reach out to those in the audience about Jesus. And here we have someone that's doing the presentation that found Jesus through that.
Oh, yeah.
And then she asked me to share my, testimony. And it was like, well, thanks for putting me on the spot. I'm an extrovert or introvert.
You don't have any problem talking with
No, I don't. But.
So because you were connected with the drama, that's how you fell more in love and learned more about Jesus. And then that led to you giving your life to Christ.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. A lot of times we don't realize how just being connected to a body of believers can grow and develop our faith, which has been one of the reasons the pandemic is so hard. We haven't been in person a lot of times. A lot of times that's driven by in-person relationships.
If I may share with that, this pandemic has been really a struggle for me.
Yeah.
My health issues, I've had a few, may I say, I've had a few strokes in my life and in the last 5 years. And I've been blessed that I can still do things. I still compete with karate, still teach, do all those things. And sometimes I'm surprised that I can.
Yeah.
But I thank God that I can. But with the pandemic, and I know everything stopped for many people. I get that, I understand. I'm not saying my story is different from others. But for me personally, it was tough mentally based on, my struggles physically. I was going to some stroke support groups prior to, and that was really helping me just to get a focus or even to minimize, because a lot of times I'll say all these thoughts going through, I just can't connect. And then when that pandemic hit and everything stopped, it was very hard for me.
You battled depression.
I battled depression. My wife and I did have the virus back in April, and we were self-quarantined.
What was that like physically when you had the virus for you?
For me, personally, it's interesting how it can affect people differently. For me, my biggest struggle, I think, was just fatigue. I'd scratch my head and I'd be like, man, I'm tired. I got to take a nap. Just from that simple little task. My wife had different symptoms. I can't recall exactly, but there too, that pandemic can affect people so differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest struggle where people don't understand that sometimes. It's like, well, you got a cold, I got a cold. It's the same thing. Well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And mentally, when we became well, my wife started to go to, the stores and stuff a little more often. And she would share some stories. I'm not going to go into the debate about mask, no mask, but she shared some stories where some people, she would wear the mask going in. And she had this one gentleman that just said, why are you wearing a mask? Just out of the blue. And she just kind of shuffled it off or whatever. When she told me that story, it made me mad.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, but I was just like, oh. And there too, because I was trapped inside the house, if you will, for 4 months kind of thing, it just was eating me up. It's like that physical. And there too, I was like, man, I need to get back into karate kind of thing, because the martial arts is so big on developing peace and patience. And
especially with the martial arts program you run and I'm a part of, we are looking to develop Christ's character using martial arts. So that does help with peace a lot.
It does. And to not be involved with it was really tough. But then when we were able to go back to church service. That first service, my eyes were open to, you hear about a new season. And we're not talking spring, summer, fall, or winter, just a new season in your life. And that season could be 10 years, 2 days, 5 hours, whatever. My eyes were open to the new season in my life because that 4 months was about what it was when I was home. It's a bad season for me.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that I can start new and fresh, at least get my feet back in the direction that I need to be walking.
Yeah.
So,
we love the fact that we're regathering. Last question. I appreciate your time today. You're a member at Southside Church of Christ.
yes.
So I know that you enjoy that fellowship and love your church. What do you find? What do you like about this congregation, Wilmington Church of Christ? Because you're now working with us on a part-time basis with the Upward Director. So what do you like about Wilmington Church of Christ? I already know you like your church because that's where you go.
I'm flabbergasted with the friendliness and just, seeing strangers. Hey, how you doing? And they don't even know me from Adam.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so huge. Sometimes life gets so fast paced, or I shouldn't say it does. It is fast paced that, I say this when I had my strokes. It's like, you got to be Snoopy. Put the shades on and be Joe Cool.
Yeah.
Take your time. There too, with my health issues and the pandemic, I really got to see how that fast pace is taking shape and all that. And I tend to try to sit back, reflect on things before I do like my dad. He was an engineer. He wouldn't jump the gun right away. He'd gather the data, determine, all those things, and then come with a solution, if you will. And so I thank Dad for, that trait, giving me, just to be able to try and understand without jumping to the gun.
Sure.
So I don't know if that answers that or not.
Well, you did say we were friendly. I did hear that part.
Yeah. Talking about the friendly, the people here I haven't met everybody. I have not been to a service here, but I have been hearing karate tournaments or being the Upward Director. But again, everybody I come in contact through this church has been a great experience for me, and I love it. I just wish I lived in Wilmington so I could be able to attend more services.
Sure,
that 20-minute drive is kind of long. No, I'm just kidding.
Anytime you can go to a church and be a church home that's closer to home, it helps you be involved. It helps you get to know people better. I think that's very valuable. Appreciate you answering questions today. And if you have any questions for our Upward Director, Tom Kreps, or for me, you can respond with the email that's below, or you can even text the word CONNECT to 937-382-0904. And we'll try to answer those questions or maybe even help you take your next best step to get closer to Christ. And if you don't have a church home, Southside Church of Christ, where Tom goes, is also a friendly, great congregation in Washington Courthouse, or the Wilmington Church of Christ here in Wilmington. We want to help you take your next best step with Jesus, and we know that means being connected with a local body of believers. So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.